I'm an alcoholic. My name is Jim.
Hey, Jim.
Y'all don't mind if I take this off? Y'all look like y'all casual. Ain't no damn reason why I can't be. Well, we're going to have a good time tonight. I did not get sober to be miserable and pissed off and angry and singing the blues. I did enough of that when I was drinking. And I'm going to be happy tonight. And I hope when y'all leave here tonight that you're just as happy as I am. I'm the kind of drinker, the only time in my life that I ever turned down a drink of alcohol was when I didn't understand the question. It's strange that I'm up here at the podium because I had the calling when I was about 12 years old. I felt like I had the calling that God wanted me to be a preacher. And that's what I was intending on doing until I found alcohol. But there was this one old preacher, and he was coming home from the prayer meeting on Wednesday night. And he's driving along there, just nice, just he's got them horn red glasses on, and he's just driving along there smiling. Oh, Lord, everything's just so wonderful. And he comes up behind this 63 Ford pickup truck. And the truck's faltering over the yellow line. And he thought to himself, Lord, that man up there, he must be sick. He must be ill. I better see if I can't get around him, before he gets in an accident. And then he thought to himself, I better hit that passing gear and get on around that drunk before he runs me off the road. And so he hit the passing gear and he got up just about around him, and his car hit a slick spot in the road and flipped over thrice down into the ditch. And the old inebriated soul gets out of the pickup. Actually, wait a minute, let me stop there. The soul is never inebriated, just the vehicle that encases the soul. That's what gives some people reason to believe that it's godly to drink, because you can't hurt a drunk. So the old stone housing gets out of the pickup, walks over there where the preacher's in the ditch. And he yells down there, he says, y'all ride, preacher? He says, yes, thank you. The Lord was riding with me. He says, you better let him ride with me. You gonna kill him. Now, I started off in Robinson County, and I came from a dysfunctional home. My father was a unpredictable, sometimes violent drinker. I've been told in Alcoholics Anonymous I can't call anybody else an alcoholic, that it's a self-diagnosing disease. I never remember seeing him when he wasn't drinking. When I was a little kid, he always, when I would look for whatever reason, if I got to look in the trunk of the car, he always had these mason jars in the trunk of his car, these little quart clear mason jars. And sometimes there was a clear liquid in there with them. But he was, like I said, violent. And my mother divorced him when I was about 5 and a half. And I moved all the way from St. Paul's into the big city of Red Springs. And a year or so later, my mother remarried another alcoholic. He was not a violent alcoholic. He was of the intellectual type. But I don't know whether that, I've been told by professionals that because I had a direct family member that was that showed signs of alcoholism, that my chances are 30 or 40% greater of becoming an alcoholic. So I guess you could say I was predisposed. But I don't blame my father and don't blame my mama. I'm not saying my mama had square nipples and I became an alcoholic because she had square nipples. That's not it. I became an alcoholic because I drank too much. I was always looking for the right amount of alcohol. I was always a full blast drinker once I started drinking. I started drinking when I was about 14 years old. I was the smallest guy in my class. I felt like I didn't fit in. All the other guys were much bigger than I was. Whenever we played any kind of sport and they chose a team, I wasn't the last one chosen. They didn't choose me. They would choose everybody else, and then they'd send me to go get drinks. That's how unathletic I was. And I felt very insecure about being so small and puny. And when I was, like I said, 14, I went down to, with some older guys, Frankie Tilley and Duncan Hanna, and got in his Corvair. A lot of y'all don't even know what a Corvair is, but it's a small little death trap of a car. And we rode down to, Robeson County was a dry county. If y'all don't know what that means that they did not sell alcohol in the county. So we went down to south of the border, right across the line on the other side of Rowland. And these guys bought me 2 Country Club malt liquors. Now at that time, Country Club malt liquor came in a real small can. It was like this. Now, this is before they had aluminum cans. It took a man to crush. I could not crush one. It took a man to crush one of these cans. And anyway, it was called the little can with the big surprise. That's the way they advertise it on in newspapers and television and radio. And when I drank those 2 malt liquors, something happened to me. All the years later, when I found out about the promises in Alcoholics Anonymous, it was as if all those promises came true for me. Because no longer was I that puny guy. I felt 6 foot tall and bulletproof. I felt like everything that I said was just funny as hell. I felt like I could knock a ball out of the park. It just made me feel like I'd never felt before. And I loved that feeling. God, I love that feeling. And I chased that feeling for 22 years. It told me a big lie. Alcohol did. And it told me that it would always make me feel that way. And it never made me feel that way again. I never felt that way again until I came into Alcoholics Anonymous. And I discovered the God of my understanding since I've been here. I had 4 years in the Navy. When I got out of high school, just like all the rest of us, I got in different scrapes and stuff, and nothing real serious. I went in the Navy. I got out of high school and got drunk, decided to join the Navy. And no kidding, when me and another guy were drinking one day, and let's go join the Navy. And we joined the Navy. And I spent about 4 years in there, and my drinking increased, of course, because then I had some of my own money. It didn't cost as much as it does today, or when I got sober. But I kept drinking, and I got out of there, and had different jobs, went to schools, and kept drinking. And for a while, I was living in beautiful Moore County, North Carolina. I've lived in Aberdeen and in Southern Pines. Never lived in Pinehurst, visited it many times. But that was at the pinnacle of when I was a big man about town. I was styling hair up in Southern Pines. I was going to Sand Hills Community College, and I was what do you call it? I was a pharmacist of sorts to people that needed cannabis. or whatever. I would help people that didn't have cannabis locate cannabis. And I've always been a healer like that, and I always tried to help people in whatever way I could. And like I said, and I was doing. They had a dinner theater up at the Pinehurst Hotel, and I was doing some acting then, and going to college, and making money, styling hair, and pharmacist, and doing real well, and a just big man about town. And the alcoholism had progressed in me to the point that I was having blackouts almost every time I drank. And it put me in situations to where I would wake up and not know how I got where I was. I know that's never happened to any of y'all, he said. But I woke up with some strange people in strange places. I don't want to get graphic on how bad it was physically, but it was bad. I knew that I was beginning to question my alcohol, the effects that alcohol was having on me. I wasn't ready to say I was an alcoholic yet, but I knew that it was detrimental to me. And so I investigated. Y'all know I'm a scientist. I am a scientist. I can tell you the melt point of cocaine hydrochloride. Who else would know that but a scientist? And I found this 20-question test. It might be 21 questions. I'm not sure, but Alcoholics Anonymous puts it out. And I started reading these questions, and do you drink before 5? Well, yeah, I drink before 5. What's the big deal? You know what I mean? Have you ever lost a job? Well, I've had to work for some assholes before, but so I quit. Yeah. And so as I read these questions, and my answer was yes to all the questions, finally I just threw it down. It said, this is a trick quiz. They're trying to prove that I'm an alcoholic. And I didn't have anything else to do with it. But what I did do was I realized I was making a fool out of myself in public, and I didn't like that, being a big man about town. So I became an isolated drinker for a period of time. That means I quit going out at night. I started drinking scotch at home. I lived over in the Southern Pines at the time. And that lasted for about a year or so. And then I was introduced to that stuff that I was talking about melting a while ago. And that is one of the greatest blessings that has ever happened to me in my life. Because with alcohol, if I was up here in my 20s and I was falling down, coming down the ladder with alcohol, I would fall down a little bit, and then somebody would enable me, and I would go back up a little. And I'd fall down a little bit, and I would go back up. But once I got on that white substance, it started going down like that. Where within a year I was using it intravenously. That's a fancy way of saying I'm a junkie. And I was coming pretty close to dying. I had moved out of Southern Pines by this time, and had several jobs, driving a truck across country and stuff like that. And anyway, long about 1987, I had tried to get off of it on my own. I had finally reached out and said I needed help, and I went to a treatment center. And there was a guy that I heard speak there. Y'all might know him if you know anybody from Ellerby. His name is Darrell C. And I see a couple of heads nodding. Darrell C. I know this was over 30 years ago. This is over 34 years ago, and I heard his story. And I never will forget it because what he said opened my eyes. And what he said was that when he drank in Ellerby, that everybody knew that he was the town drunk. And it really didn't bother him, but he was drinking 2 fists of Jack Daniels a day. And he finally realized that he had a problem like I did, and he went and got help. And when he came back to Ellerby, he worked at a hardware store there. And when he came back to Ellerby, y'all know how these small towns are, you should know. Anyway, this little old gray-haired lady, blue hair, she had the white minx hair rents on her hair and everything. She comes up to him and she says, I heard you had a drinking problem. He said, no, ma'am. He says, I do not have a drinking problem. I can drink as much as anybody. I can drink more than most people. He said, what I have a problem with is staying sober. Bam! I mean, that's, well, hell, I didn't have a problem with alcohol and drugs. I could get it. People give it to me on credit. You know, I didn't have a problem with it. What I had a problem with was not doing it. What I had a problem was staying sober. And I came in, went to treatment, and went back out shortly thereafter. I went through what was called my flip-flop stage when I was trying to do it my way. I didn't want to follow the directions in the book quite yet, you know what I mean. I was what did they say, looking for loopholes is what I was doing. Y'all know who W.C. Fields is? W.C. Fields was one of the actors back, and he would that's the wrong word. He was an actor during the silent movies, and when they started acting and using sound, he was also in that. But he was a big round man, and he had a big round red nose. And he earned that red nose because he was a drinker. He was the one that came up with such slogans as, go away, kid, you draw flies. Anyway, W.C. Fields, hard drinker all of his life, was lying on his deathbed. And he'd never been known to read the Bible in his life. And his only friend left in the world, an attorney. God, if you're down to your last friend and it's an attorney, what can I say? Anyway, this attorney comes in. He says, he saw W.C. reading the Bible. And he said, W.C., he says, I see you reading the Bible. I never seen you reading the Bible. Why are you doing that? He said, looking for loopholes, my boy, looking for loopholes. And that's the way I was for that 6-month flip-flop period. I kept trying to do it my way, and I kept trying to look for loopholes. I would stay sober on the weekend and get drunk during the week, or I would get drunk on the weekends and stay sober during the week. And I would try to mix the right amount of cannabis and white powder and alcohol to get that perfect solution. And I just couldn't get it. And I'm a smart man. Just ask me, I'll tell you. I figured if anybody could figure out the recipe for, finding out how to drink the right amount of alcohol, it was going to be me. And on July the 8th, 1987, I had done too much of a whole bunch of different things. And I got so high, my heart was racing, and I was scared I was going to die, and I couldn't come down, and I begged these people for something to come down with. And for some reason that night, God had me at some people's houses that were preferred barbiturates. And I found out a couple of months later that I had done 32 Seconals. I came to 5 days later at my house, and my skin was great. My room smelled like, you ever been in a rest home where somebody's died? That's the way my room smelled. My skin was gray. It smelled like death. And I was not a handsome man. I was not a man about town. I was down to 95 pounds. And I went and looked in the mirror. First time I'd done that. It's hard to look in the mirror when you're doing that other stuff because you're always looking at other people. But I looked in the mirror and God said to me, He said, Jimmy, He said, I've shown you Alcoholics Anonymous. I've shown you where the help is. Now, if you don't want it, that's okay, but I ain't got anything else to do with you if you don't want it. And I went and sat down on my bed, and I left a pamphlet there from a sister fellowship that was entitled Relapse and Recovery. And what it said was that many times after a relapse, someone will come back into the program and work it harder than they ever have. And that sentence gave me enough hope. And I went back down to German Street, and I said, I'm a drunk and a junkie, and I need help. And I hadn't had to take a drink since that day. Well, damn, where's all the fun in that story? You know, I guess the fun in that story and the miracle is in that story. And the reason I said I'm glad that white stuff came along is because it took me to the gates of hell a lot quicker than I would have made it just on the alcohol alone. And since I've been here, God has removed that compulsion and of that obsession to use alcohol and cocaine. My life is blessed like it's never been blessed before. Today, I still have a disease called alcoholism, not alcoholism. There's a difference today, though, in all of us and anybody. When there's only two types of alcoholism, and that's treated or untreated. And today, I have found out, I have discovered in these rooms and in this literature, I've discovered the methodology on how to stay sober, and I found the people that are staying sober that show me how they've done it, how they came through different situations while staying sober. So when they call this a program, that's what they're talking about, a systemized, organized methodology that works to get people sober. And it has worked for me. I'm still powerless over alcohol. I don't think about alcohol. I'm not worried about going into I don't think any beer is going to jump into my basket when I go through the grocery store or anything like that. I don't think about it. I can go out to a restaurant and other people drink and it don't bother me today. I couldn't do that first year, to be honest with you, because it bothered me for quite a while. But today, it doesn't bother me. My life has become more manageable today. Not by me, but by this power that's greater than me. I have learned to trust in this power that's greater than me. Now, I discovered this power in the second step. I came to believe that there was a power that was greater than me. And at first I came to believe, well, that's exactly what I came to believe. First I came to believe there was a power. Then I came to believe that it was greater than me. Then I came to believe that this power that was greater than me could restore me to sanity. It took several years before I believed that it would restore me to sanity. Today I've been restored to sanity. I don't act the way that I used to act. My first thought in the morning is not, where am I going to get my fix? Where am I going to get my alcohol? Like I said, I don't think about alcohol today. My first thought in the morning when I get up today, and almost every day, is thank you, God, for another day. How can I best serve you today? Please remove me from the burden of self. That's what I do on a daily basis. Now, I make a decision every day to turn my will and my life over to this God. I call him a protector, a healer, a vindicator, a provider. Y'all can call him whatever you want to call him. It doesn't matter to me if you're a Muslim, a Hindu, a Jew, a heathenist. whatever God you want to believe in, that's fine with me. I believe it's a loving God, and my God's a loving God. Now, it took me a while to do an honest inventory, and after about the fourth or the fifth try, I finally, instead of the Jim Bullard, the legacy, instead of writing all this bullshit and everything, I finally, took an honest look at myself and started realizing, well, I'm a liar, I'm a cheat, I'm a whore, I'm a thief. I got plenty of criticism, judgmentalism, grandiosity, arrogance, sloth. But I'm glad that God gave me the willingness to take a look and see what my defects are. And I ask God on a regular basis to grant me the willingness for me to change. Not for the people around me to change, but give me the willingness to change myself. I was sober a few years, and my hair was still dark then. I came in when I was 37, and I was a right good-looking fellow. I don't mind telling you, especially after I got some weight on me. You can't be too good-looking when you're 95 pounds like this, and your skin gray, like I said. But anyway, I was driving down Skybow Road one day, and just happy and everything. I had the Spirit was with me and everything, and I'm just riding along there, and here come these two young girls. I guess they were in their early 20s or so, and everything. And they rode by me, and they just smiled, just as big as hell. Of course, then I bowed up my chest a little bit. Them girls smiling at me. Not that I've got an ego problem. I didn't mention that a while ago, did I? And so I'm just feeling good as hell that, well, thank you, God. It's nice to have two women smiling at you. You know what I mean? They thinking that I'm attractive and everything. And so I'm riding along there, and they gone up, and then they drifted back down and pulled back up beside me and everything. And one of the girls, and both of them were good-looking girls now, and one of the girls motioned for me to roll down my window. When I hit that power button over there, and I got my chest bowed up real big and everything like that, and I rolled down my window, and I'm just flattered as hell and everything. She says, "You left your gas cap off." And God does little things like that to give me lessons in humility. When I did my 8-step and continue to do my 8-step and my 9-step. I've made amends to everybody wherever possible that I can at this time that I feel are reasonable. I try not to put anybody else on that list. I try not to have behavior that will create that kind of problem to have to pay anything back. But when I pray for every man, woman, or child in my life that I have ever hurt in any way, mentally, spiritually, physically, financially, psychologically, or emotionally. I pray that God give them all the love, the hope, the peace, the joy, the happiness, the financial success, and emotional stability that I ask for in my own life. And then I turn around, because forgiveness is a two-sided coin. And then I turn around and I pray for those people that have hurt me, lied to me, cheated me, stolen from me, manipulated me, spread false rumors about me. They've done the same thing that I've done to somebody else. And so I pray to God for every man, woman, or child, anybody that's hurt me in any way at any time, that they receive all the love, the hope, the joy, the peace, the happiness, the financial success, and emotional stability that I seek in my own life. And that frees me up in my heart to have the joy, to have the peace. I have found out since meditating and praying long enough and following these simple steps that the God of my understanding wants me to be happy, joyous, and free. And that the only way I can lose my happiness, my joy, or my freedom is by giving it away to somebody. If I allow somebody to say something to hurt my feelings and I get pissed off and whatever, defensive and everything, well, that's on me. I'm giving up my joy. If I get angry and everything like that, that's on me. I'm choosing to be angry instead of to be happy. Now, I believe that this power that I believe in wants me to be happy, joyous, and free. So I try to be that way as much as I can. Now, I've worked with several different men over the years and continue to work with different men and as far as sponsorship and everything like that. I guess about 10 or 15 years ago, there was a guy from Fayetteville. He was originally from California, but he moved over here. Y'all may know him. His name was Pat. And I had seen a transformation in his life because I'd known him since the time he'd moved from California to Fayetteville, and then I hadn't seen him in a while. I knew he was living over here, and I'd see him occasionally when I'd come to this meeting. And I said, I see something different in you. You know what I mean? What are you doing? And he said, well, I've increased my prayer and meditation time. Just something real simple like that. I mean, I've been reading the damn book for 20-some years, but yet I wasn't applying the principle in my life. Oh, let me go out the door. Okay, God, thank you for being with me. I appreciate it, God. Thank you, love you. Everything like that. That's the way I was. But now I dedicate some time. I set some time aside when I get up in the morning to do my prayer and meditation. And that puts me on a more even keel. Even before I get out of bed, like I told you the prayer that I had a while ago. So that gives me a heads up on the day on how to deal with people, how to work with people. I'm trying to think of something profound to say. I can tell a bunch of damn jokes, but I don't know anything that profound except that, in 1987, I think I gave y'all a good visual image of what I look like. Today I'm 71 years old, and I ain't got any young girls waving at me, I'll be honest with you, but I feel pretty good. I feel like I look pretty good. I've got a life that's full of joy and peace. I do a lot of fishing, and I give back to Alcoholics Anonymous. I've done so much in service that I'm not getting kind of, well, I'm not burned out, but I'd rather let the young people now take over. When I was 10 years sober, my sponsor at the time told me, when you're 10 years, you have to decide, are you going to be an elder statesman or a bleeding deacon? And if y'all don't know what that is, that's advanced AA. You have to read closely into traditions to find out what that is. You see, an elder statesman is somebody that will allow the young people to run the meetings, have the group conscious meetings, and vote on the things and do the things that they want to do and turn over the reins to them and give them leadership, give them guidance and their help. That's an elder statesman. A bleeding deacon is, well, damn, they don't do it the way we used to do it. They need to do it this way here because that's the way we always done it. That's a bleeding deacon. I'm kind of somewhere in between. I'm a bleeding statesman, I think. Well, I guess I'm going to finish a little early tonight, Brad, if that's all right. I'm going to tell y'all one more story. I could tell two or three. Well, let me tell two stories since I got this extra time here. one time there was this sparrow, and he was raised down near Laurinburg. Just had his mom and daddy sparrow there in a little nest, outside between Wagram and Laurinburg down there. And he just, in the springtime and everything, he'd learn how to fly and everything, got out of the nest, and he learned how to look for worms and bugs and everything. And he's just a happy little sparrow. And here comes September along, and the mom and daddy come along and says, "Okay, Junior, come on, it's time for us to fly on down to Florida, because it's going to get cold in North Carolina." He said, no, I believe I can handle it. I can stay up here by myself. They said, no, you need to come down with us. And he said, no, I'll be all right by myself. And so they left toward the end of September, and October came, and it got down in the 30s. And he's shivering. He's cold. And he found him a hay bale and got up in that hay bale and everything. And then it warmed up after that. And he was all right. And November came, and it got even colder. And he found him a place in a barn that had some hay in it and everything. It was cut off from the wind. And he said, "I'm going to be all right." And then December came, and the ground froze. Lord have mercy, he was shivering. He was cold, and had one of them nor'easters come through. That's an Alberta clipper comes down from Canada, sweeps down across North Carolina like that. That cold, that moist air coming up from the Gulf West up like that, and it's just a sleeting and raining and just cold as it can be out there. He's just a shivering and everything. He says, "I got to go down to Florida," and he starts out down to Florida, and he gets to flying, and the ice starts forming on his wings, and he can't fly anymore, and he falls down to the ground. And he's laying down there on the ground about to freeze to death, being covered up with sleet and ice. But God was looking out for him. There was a cow, there was a pasture there that he fell down in, and there was a cow that was going back to the barn, and the cow walked over him and dropped a cow patty on him. Now, wait a minute. That might sound bad, but think about it. The inside of a cow is 103 degrees. And that cow patty warmed him up. Oh, and he realized he was going to live again. His wings was moving again. And just thank you, Lord. He just started chirping. He's just so happy and everything. He's going to live. He saw him a barn he could get to until the sleet passed. And he was just chirping, just as happy as he could be. And the neighborhood, the farm cat there and everything, heard that chirping. And walked down there and looked at that pile of cow patty and started digging around in there and found that bird and ate it. The moral to the story is, just because somebody shits on you don't mean that they're your enemy. And just because somebody gets you out of some shit don't mean that they're your friend. And if you're safe and warm in the shit you're already in, keep your mouth shut. Now, there was this elderly gentleman. When I say elderly, you almost be thinking I'm talking about somebody 90 or something, but there's somebody about my age. Okay. I guess I'm elderly now. But I know I don't look it. Y'all don't have to tell me. I know. There was this elderly gentleman. His wife had passed away several years early. And he, how do I explain this? He had some urges that were not taken care of, and it was like he had a bullet caught in the chamber. And his son advised him that the best thing to do was get some relief, and he knew of a house where they had some women that would take care of his particular problem. And so his son went and carried him down to this house and everything, and the dad goes in, and it was a hallway. And they walked down the end of the hallway, and there's two doors. And one of them said under 65, and the other one said 65 or older. Well, he wasn't going to lie about it. He was 66. So he walked through the door that said, over 65. It's another hallway. So he walks down into the hallway, and there's two more doors. One door says 1 time a night, and the other door says 2 or more times a night. Well, hell, he hadn't done anything in a long time. He didn't feel like he could handle the 1 time a night. So he walked through the door and said 1 time a night. It was another hallway. So he walks down into the hallway, and there's 2 doors. And on one it said over 6 inches, and the other one said under 6 inches. Well, he's an honest man. He wasn't going to lie about it. He walked through the door and said under 6 inches. And he's back out on the street again. Now, the moral of the story is, always tell the truth, and you never get screwed.